One night in October 2008, a man was invited by a woman he had just met on social media named Pretty Sister to meet her at her apartment. When he arrived and knocked on the door as planned, no one answered. After knocking for a while with no response, he asked the security guard at the entrance to the complex. The guard told him that the woman who lived there had died a week earlier. Welcome to Red Eastern True Crime. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to my channel. Let's dive into this story. In October 2008, a few days after China's National Day holiday, Mr. Jun from Handan City, Hebei Province, had a pleasant online chat with a woman named Pretty Sister. On the night of the 12th, Mr. Jun mentioned how tired he was after a long day of work. Pretty Sister suggested, "Why don't you come over and I'll give you a massage to help you relax?" Excited, Mr. Jun quickly agreed. Pretty Sister sent her address: Apartment 401 in Unit 1, Building 4 of an apartment complex. When Mr. Jun arrived, he found the hallway very dark as all the lights were out. He cautiously climbed up to the 4th floor and found the door on the right, but no one answered. Surprised, the guard told Mr. Jun that the woman in the apartment was dead, murdered. Mr. Jun couldn't believe it and said, "This can't be right. We just talked on the phone. I'll go check again." He hurried back to Building 4, and upon entering Unit 1, he smelled a strange odor and noticed white powder on the stairs. As he climbed to the 4th floor, using the light from his phone, he saw a white seal on the door with a date from 2 days ago. Terrified, Mr. Jun ran down the stairs, and as he rushed out of the building, his phone rang. It was Pretty Sister calling. After a moment of hesitation, Mr. Jun answered. Pretty Sister asked, "Are you there?" Fearful, Mr. Jun replied, "Why did you ask me to come if you're already dead?" Pretty Sister said, "You must have gone to the wrong door. I'm not interested today." "Never mind," and then hung up. Thinking he had experienced something supernatural, Mr. Jun was too scared to look back. He rode home on his bicycle and never told anyone about the incident. It turned out that the occupant of apartment 401 was a divorced single woman named Huo Jingwen. We will call her Wendy. She was 34 years old and worked in a nearby factory. After the National Day holiday in 2008, she didn't go to work for several days. Unable to contact her, her worried cousin and some co-workers decided to look for her at her apartment. When they arrived, no one answered the door, but they managed to unlock it. When they entered the apartment, they found that Wendy was not there. The room was very clean, but it smelled strange. One of Wendy's co-workers was sitting on her bed and felt something pushing up on the bedboard. Curious, she lifted the bedboard and discovered a blanket covering something in the box under the bed, with a strand of hair sticking out. When the blanket was lifted, everyone in the room was horrified to see Wendy, who had already died, naked and curled up in the bedbox. After the horror, Wendy's cousin quickly called the police. When the police arrived on the scene, they immediately noticed a strong odor. After an examination of the scene and a preliminary examination of the body, they determined that Wendy had died sometime between the night of October 2nd and the early morning of October 3rd. The cause of death was suffocation, with a plastic bag over her head, and there were no signs of a struggle or injuries on her body. Authorities believed the killer was likely a man who knew the victim, as there was evidence of sexual contact before her death. Because of Wendy's size, it would have been difficult for a female killer to place her in the box under the bed, and there was no reason to remove all of the victim's clothing. Because the room had been completely cleaned, the police found no helpful clues and had to begin their investigation by looking at Wendy's social circle. On the evening of October 12th, the police received a call from the security guard at Wendy's apartment complex, who reported that a man had asked for Wendy and mentioned talking to her on the phone earlier that day. The police then realized that Wendy's phone was still active, sending messages and making calls to various people, even arranging meetings at her apartment using Wendy's identity. This was a situation the police had never encountered before in their investigation. They later obtained Wendy's phone records and found that one of her friends had contacted her phone number on October 4th. Wendy's friend told the police that she tried to call Wendy several times on the 4th, but didn't get an answer. However, Wendy continued to text her, claiming that she was out of town and needed to go to the gynecologist. The friend pointed out that the messages Wendy sent that day were very different from her usual style. Wendy usually made a lot of spelling mistakes and used incorrect punctuation, but the messages that day were error-free, with correct wording and punctuation. Her friend also confirmed that Wendy had a gynecological problem. This made the police more certain that the perpetrator was sexually involved with Wendy, as they wouldn't have known such private details otherwise. Soon after, another person told the police that he had seen Wendy at the entrance of the Industrial and Commercial Bank on the morning of October 3rd. However, it was believed that Wendy had already been killed by that time. The police quickly reviewed the bank's surveillance footage and identified a woman wearing a white hat who closely resembled Wendy in body shape and appearance. This woman was caught on camera at the teller window, withdrawing over 10,000 RMB in cash, about $2,000, from Wendy's bank account. Police found the woman's actions highly suspicious. Upon further investigation, they discovered that she was dressed in Wendy's clothing, trying to mimic her appearance, and had applied makeup to avoid being clearly identified on the bank's surveillance cameras. The police were confused about the woman's connection to Wendy and her relationship to the actual perpetrator. They also questioned whether she was the one using Wendy's phone number. A few days later, the police finally found the man who had knocked on Wendy's door on the night of October 12th. His name was Yang Jun, and he owned a small shop in Handan City. Mr. Jun explained that he had randomly added Pretty Sister as a friend on QQ, and they had only been chatting for 5 days. On October 12th, Pretty Sister invited him to her home, but Mr. Jun did not know that room 401 had already been sealed off by the police due to a murder case. After checking Mr. Jun's chat records, the police cleared him of any suspicion. The QQ account used by the person pretending to be Pretty Sister was actually Wendy's account before her death. It seems that someone not only used her phone number, but also pretended to be her on QQ, chatted with men online, and invited them to the crime scene in an attempt to shift the blame. When the police tried to find clues on Wendy's computer, they found that her hard drive had been taken, and the QQ chat records and other information had been deleted. The police, who were investigating Wendy's phone records, discovered a suspicious number that had been activated just 8 days before her murder. This number contacted Wendy at the same time every day until her death. After Wendy was killed, the number was no longer in use and had no connections to other numbers. However, when the police tried to identify the owner of the number, they found that it was not registered to a real name. Police believe this number was used in preparation for the crime. Whoever was using that number must have contacted Wendy on other numbers before. So they looked at Wendy's phone records from the 6 months before her murder. They quickly noticed one number that stood out. This number had been in contact with Wendy from August to mid-September 2008, and its calling pattern was very similar to the suspicious number that contacted Wendy almost every day at the same time. Police quickly obtained information on the owner of the number, a woman named Guo Mei, 35 years old, who looked a bit like the victim, Wendy. Law enforcement acted quickly and arrested Mei at her rented apartment. When questioned, Mei claimed that she didn't know Wendy was dead. She stated that she was only following the orders of her boyfriend, who had instructed her to go to the bank, to withdraw Wendy's money, and to chat online with a man to arrange a meeting at Wendy's apartment. Mei's lies were quickly exposed when police found Wendy's computer hard drive and a small notebook in her apartment. The notebook contained clear instructions. 1. Delete computer data. 2. Take away the computer hard drive. 3. Disguise entry to the scene, clean up the scene. 4. After disguise, go get the money. Faced with the evidence, Mei could no longer keep up the charade. She admitted that she was divorced and had been living with her boyfriend, Yang Hongjie, for the past 2 years. What she didn't know was that Yang was already married and had a son. May was deeply in love with Yang and believed everything he said. She would never refuse any request from him, no matter what it was. Yang was soon arrested and admitted to killing Wendy when confronted with the evidence. Dissatisfied with his mundane married life, he met May online and lied about being single. This led to a double life, splitting his time between his wife and May. After 2 years, however, he grew tired of May as well. Nevertheless, he didn't want to leave May because of her obedience to him. Yang met Wendy online, who bore a resemblance to May and matched his preferences. They started dating, and Yang began spending nights at Wendy's apartment. One day, he noticed a bank book containing $2,000 in Wendy's possession. Claiming that his son needed money for kindergarten fees, Yang asked Wendy to lend him the money. Wendy, who had saved the money through careful budgeting as her income was low, didn't agree and made up some excuses to avoid the request. Yang didn't have much income, and the expenses for his wife, child, and mistress always made him worry about money. He had full control over May's finances, and now he wanted to control Wendy's money as well. Yang bought a phone number that did not require registration to contact Wendy. On the night of October 2, 2008, he went to Wendy's apartment again. After having intimate contact with her, Yang tied Wendy's hands behind her back while she slept. Wendy woke up startled, and Yang said, "I know you have $2,000. Tell me the password. I really need the money. I have to pay my son's kindergarten fees next month. I have no other intentions. I just need the money." Terrified, Wendy told Yang the password. But in a cruel act, Yang did not stop there. He placed a plastic bag over Wendy's head, causing her to suffocate and die. Afterwards, Yang lied to May, saying that Wendy owed him money and that he killed her by accident. Instead of encouraging Yang to confess, May willingly helped him cover up the crime by shifting the blame and interfering with the police investigation. Their attempt to outsmart the authorities ultimately backfired, leading to them being discovered more quickly by the police. Yang betrayed his family, cheated on his mistress, and found a new lover, only to kidnap, extort, and murder after their passionate encounters. Using his son's kindergarten as an excuse, he took a life for a mere $2,000. While committing these heinous acts, he may not have considered that his son would forever see him as a disgrace. May, with a higher level of education than Wendy, showed a cold lack of humanity and disrespect for the law when her boyfriend committed murder. She even went to the crime scene alone to clean it up and disguised herself as a ghost to lure men to the crime scene. She was good at completing missions, but bad at seeing people's true colors. There is no accurate information on the sentencing of Yang and May. Hopefully, they have received the punishment they deserve. What do you think about this case? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to my channel.